Good morning, Nation. John here. Short one this morning. Thank you very much for being here and subscribing. And I appreciate the thumbs up or thumbs down. I truly do, because we got a lot of Beaverines out there that can't find the streams and the videos each morning. So the thumbs do help. Um, Talking about the tip of the spear this morning. And this is actually in response to a question I saw on the live chat replay yesterday. I go back through, folks. I watch those, because I miss all kinds of stuff during the live stream. I truly do. And it moves way too fast, right? So this comes from Mama Bear. And this question popped up, and I said, you know what? We need to talk about this because not enough people understand the difference here. So we're going to talk about the difference. And then we're going to talk about why that's we're just at the tip of the spear, if you will. So the question was, are the Patriots the only ones in the United States who believe in the Constitution? Interesting question, right? You would think everybody in the United States believed in the Constitution, kind of rooted their values in the Constitution, etc. But to answer the question, yes, Patriots are literally the only ones here in the United States that seem to care about the Constitution anymore. So our politicians, both sides of the aisle, don't seem to care about it all that much. Democrats will come into power. They will strip mine as much of the Constitution as they possibly can. They use it like toilet paper. Republicans complain about it. Republican politicians point to the Constitution. We can't do this. We can't do this. And then, as somebody said yesterday, Republicans come into power and they don't do crap about it either. They're working for someone else outside of the American people. So if you're not going to work for the American people, you're not based in the reality of the Constitution. It's just the way it is. Most young adults aren't even familiar with the Constitution. Now, I don't know exact numbers or anything, but when I say young adults, most 20-somethings, they've probably never sat down and read the Constitution or even a pocket Constitution. A lot of times you can get the pocket Constitutions for like $1 when you find them at the bookstore. I've got several in my desk here, and there's just no excuse in it. I mean, anybody can afford to do it. 20-somethings, they got smartphones. You know what I'm saying? They have internet access. It's free online. It's willful ignorance. They're just not familiar with it, and they don't care to be. And most smaller kids, they don't even know it exists. You may have some. You may have some where their parents or their grandparents have sat down and said, this is the Constitution. This is why this is important. You have those, but those are the exception, not the rule. Meaning most kids, 10, 12 years old, they don't even know that there is a such thing as the Constitution, because literally it's not taught in schools anymore. The concept of we are a democracy, you'll hear that all the time in mainstream media. And again, we're going to talk about the difference between a constitutional republic this morning and a democracy, which we are not. Okay, but they hear democracy. It's an old trick, word repetition. You know what I mean? Like, hey, subscribe to the channel. Hey, subscribe to the channel. Hey, subscribe and eventually people may actually do it. I don't know. YouTube will take them away anyway. It don't matter. But it's repetition of words. And you'll hear this in your mainstream legacy media all over the place. The term democracy. If we're a democracy, we need to do this. Kids are hearing that all the time in schools when they actually teach government, which is not all the time. They're hammered with the term democracy, 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 and they just think inherently that we are the United States is a democracy. We're not. A democracy at its core is a voting majority, which on the surface seems to make sense, but it does not make sense here in the United States, and I'll explain why in a second. But the big difference, again, the voting majority, the popular vote. You'll hear that term a lot during the election cycles and stuff too. Democrats don't really complain about it until they lose an election, and then all of a sudden, why are we using, why aren't we using the popular vote? Why are we using, the electoral system and stuff like that? A constitutional republic is quite different, because a constitutional republic out of the gates guarantees you certain rights that you cannot have stripped from you under any circumstances whatsoever. All right. So, in a democracy, for example, they could hold a public vote and go with a popular majority, or the representatives could vote, and if they had the popular majority and they decided we're getting rid of the guns, Second Amendment's going out the window. In a democracy, that can actually happen. In a constitutional republic, which is what the United States is, that is a guaranteed right. That is not going anywhere. It literally exists for this reason. If they try, they being the government, being representatives, being the masses, if they try and pull us away from a constitutional republic and retrofit us into democracy, that's what the Second Amendment is there for. It's not there for deer hunting and bird hunting and all this ridiculous stuff. You see the argument online on social media a lot. What do you need this style weapon for? Nobody needs this for deer hunting. It's literally not there for deer hunting. Okay? There are many ways to bag a buck, son. It is not there for that reason. It is there for tyranny. And that is the difference between a constitutional republic and a democracy. Now, there are other differences, key differences, but that at the core is the biggest difference. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think they're one and the same, and they're not. Here in the United States, the majority vote does not necessarily carry elections. And again, you'll hear this argument around election time or right after, we need to switch to a popular vote. And like I said, on the surface, that makes sense, right? The majority rules, but that's not a constitutional republic, and here's why. Let's say you are out in Montana, or you're out in Wisconsin, and you're a farmer, and you live in a very rural area. All right? If we had a democracy, a full-blown democracy, 4, maybe 5 key cities in the United States, because they're so heavily populated, 4 or 5 cities can dictate everything in your life. You have absolutely no say whatsoever. You are essentially punished because you're a farmer and you live in Wisconsin. All right, so the way our system was set up, and the thing that I can't seem to drill home to Democrats online, on social media at least, they either don't understand or they don't want to understand maybe. Everybody should be represented in the United States of America. And a popular majority does not work because people are crammed into New York City, whereas things are spread out. They call it flyover states and stuff, but it's really not fair because they're all Americans. Everybody should be represented equally here in the United States, right? Equality, son, equality is what I'm trying to say. And our founding fathers were smart enough to know this. Okay, they knew people are coming, they're flooding into New York at this point, and they understood, okay, pretty soon there's going to be an uneven balance of power. Right? So put the shoe on the other foot for a second. Should farmland in states like Wyoming and states like Rhode Island, should they control the entire country and force people in Los Angeles to live a certain way? No. Everybody should have an equal say as long as they are American citizens, and I would argue maybe paying taxes. But, or some people even go to the extreme and say land ownership. I can't find a lot of fault with that. I got to be honest. I know it's a controversial viewpoint, but people that own land have skin in the game. They have a lot more to lose than somebody that is, a citizen but sitting on their bum sucking the system dry. But I digress. That's another conversation for another day. That's why the Electoral College is set up the way it is. All right? This is why that matters. That is a glaring difference between democracy and a constitutional republic. And again, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, these things are always under attack. They're always chipping away. They're always well, you really shouldn't say this because it's considered hate speech, or this is hateful. You shouldn't say this. They shame you into saying not saying certain things, or having certain viewpoints, or, if you talk about your lifestyle choices or your religious beliefs, well, we're just going to sit you over in the corner. Everybody else doesn't need to hear that. That's not really the way the First Amendment was set up either. And of course, they continue to chip away at the Second Amendment. They're swinging on the Electoral College. Eventually, they're going to try and scrub that away, and the Constitution as well. We talked about that yesterday. So, getting back to the original question, yes, patriots, I think, are the only ones who believe in the Constitution, because they're the only ones that either know about the Constitution, understand the Constitution, or care enough to stand up and protect the Constitution. Earning and keeping freedom is not easy, right? We don't have to earn the freedom. That's already been done for us by the people that laid the Constitution out, that won the independence from Britain. We already have our independence. Our job is to keep the freedoms that have been guaranteed to us. And unfortunately, to answer this question, I think it's just easier for most Americans to either be ignorant on the Constitution, because again, they can pull it up anytime they want to on the internet. They can research it. It's willful ignorance, because it's a lot harder to research it, understand what it means, and then actually stand up for it. They're just going to be passive about it. They're going to remain ignorant about it. They're going to do whatever they're told by state and local leaders and the federal government and whatever, the easy path, right? But another comment came in yesterday, and they kind of correlate. It's a huge word this late at night. How did America get here so fast? They're talking about the chaos that we see in our country right now, and there's plenty of it. There's plenty of it. We were talking about the Chinese yesterday. That's just one of many, many, many threats to this country right now. How did America get here so fast? And we just talked about it, because most Americans are willfully ignorant, and they're too passive. They're too passive. They just let things happen. They just watch things unfold right in front of their faces, like they don't have any say so in the matter. And that's not the way it's supposed to work. I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know y'all get it, but it drives me insane that so many Americans, I would say probably a majority of Americans, don't care a whole lot about the Constitution, or they're not willing to stand up for it. And they would rather just see their fate play out right in front of their faces and accept whatever is given to them, and not make waves. That's not how our country was set up, folks. We did not become independent of the British by sitting around not making waves and things. We demanded freedom. Somebody brought up yesterday, I didn't write this down, but the spirit of America. We were talking about the Chinese, and somebody had made the comment, the Chinese don't want to come over here on our land because the spirit of America. And I get that comment. I do, and I can appreciate that comment, because I know the person that left it has patriotism. That spirit of America is still alive in some, but it's not alive in very many anymore. The spirit of America now is complacency. And so, to get to that comment yesterday, how did America get here so fast? My reply is, buckle up, because as the video would indicate, this is just the tip of the spear. I'm not glooming and dooming y'all or anything. I'm just trying to be real with you this morning, okay? Gonna get a lot worse here in the United States of America. You're gonna have wars abroad. The United States is always tangled up in wars all over the place. But here at home, here in the United States, the chaos is gonna get out of control. And the further we go along, the deeper the spear goes, so to speak, which is why I chose the artwork and stuff this morning, because it really does feel like we're the 300 at this point against everybody else on planet Earth, doesn't it? Us Patriots. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for being here this morning and listening to the message. Until next time, y'all take care, and God bless.